right, as we get closer to the Mossy Cave, welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we have found our way to Tropic, Utah. And soon we're going to take you on an adventure to the Mossy Cave, which is very close to this location, right behind me. This is in honor of the Tropic pioneers in diverting water over rims of the Great Basin. May 23rd, 1892. Boy Scouts, September 2, 1935. And one thing is, there's no flag flying today. But this is built out of a lot of petrified wood. Until I got close to it, I did not notice it. But you can see the grains of wood and what looks like fossils. So this by itself is very interesting. It's like an old petrified stump right there. Very interesting to see. Tropic is located on Scenic Byway 12 and dates back to its beginning of 1892. Now I'm talking to Jerry here, and Jerry's a local who's been here his whole life. And he has a picture right here on this cabin, and one of his relatives are in this picture that helped with the building of the cabin and, of course, the fountain out front. A lot of history here, and Jerry was a wealth of knowledge. Now, Bryce Canyon gets its name from Ebenezer Bryce. Bryce married Mary Park in Salt Lake City in 1854. They moved to southern Utah in 1862 and settled in Pine Valley, where Bryce was responsible for designing and overseeing the building of the Pine Valley Chapel in 1868, the oldest chapel still in continuous use by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, Bryce and Mary moved to the Paria Valley area. Bryce joined the community in the area as he helped with the preliminary works of the two water projects in progress, or the irrigation ditches for the community. And this is the old cabin where the Bryces lived. And this, of course, is some beautiful views of Bryce Valley. And we're going to share with you the water canal that was designed with the help of Bryce in 1892 coming up. Well, this is the original post office of Tropic. It still stands. There's a back door. A few boxes in it for people to pick up their mail. Looks like they're trying to preserve it with a little bit of a metal roof. Looks like it's in pretty good condition. And what's left of the original door and the boarded up windows. Now that was the first post office built in Tropic, Utah. This post office here is the second post office. And it's on somebody's property, so we couldn't get any closer, but you see there it said Post Office, Tropic, Utah. Moving on with more history. All right, so we met a very nice gentleman named Jerry. And he was explaining a lot to me about this town, almost too much to talk about. But one of the things he had mentioned is he'd helped with the T-Hill with the Boy Scouts, and they moved a lot of material to the top of the hill to be able to put some flagpoles on top of it. And they call it T-Hill because it has the original T on it, made out of stone and painted for Tropic. And since then they changed it, and on the hill on the other side, it's for Bryce Valley, so it says BV. But here is what's left of T-Hill. So right up there, you'll see it, is where the original T for Tropic was, with those flagpoles. You can see the outline of the T right there. Flying the American flag and I believe the prisoner of war flag right up there on T-Hill in Tropic. All right, so driving a little further down the road here in Tropic, that's the T-Hill where the T existed, and the flags are still flying from way over there. And if we turn all the way around, we'll see now that they call it Bryce Valley. Well, that's what they put on the hill, at least. The BV right over there, instead of the T on the hill. All right, so we found our way to the Mossy Creek Cave parking area. And one of the things to note is that there is an overflow parking area that's a lot easier to park in. And it's just probably a couple hundred yards, 300 yards up the road back to the trailhead. Probably worth parking in the overflow. All right, this is the view from the main parking lot and the trailhead area. So I'm walking up, you can see the main parking lot area there. But that is Bryce Canyon for sure. Looks. So we're at the mouth of Bryce Canyon. And those are like the hoodoos and things that you'll see in Bryce Canyon there, but the way that's carved out is beautiful. Can't wait to head up the trail. There's a trailhead sign right here and a little map. And Mossy Cave. So the streamside walk leads to a small cave that's filled with summer moss. Headed up this way. One thing for sure is that Bryce Canyon area with the hoodoos and the rock formations gives you definitely Disneyland vibes from Big Thunder Mountain. I think this was all, the ride itself was inspired by the hoodoos in this picturesque area of Bryce Canyon. Early spring, you'll see along the hillside in the shade, still snow. They get a lot of snow in this area. We'll kind of share with you as we go up the trail what these placards are all about and how significant this area was for the area, and still is. Just a little bit about the wildlife. And there's a lot of bees at my feet. Pinions and junipers, and the pinyon jay, and the ever popular pinyon pine. See, there's a walking bridge going across the small amount of water that's running under it. As the melt-off happens, this gets a lot more water for sure. There's just a little creek running through it now. That is a pretty sound, all the wind rushing through those big pines. Alright, as we get closer to the Mossy Cave, one thing that we found out, not only just by looking things up and talking to Jerry in town, is that this area is where the water came from, where they diverted the water to go down to Tropic. And they diverted the water, and they call it a water canyon, basically, and there's a reservoir up here that holds the water, and they let it go down into town. So just to back that up, the water canyon. So listen to the rushing stream for plants and animals in the sound of life, yet it is also a sound of rapid change. As in 1892, water for the town of Tropic was diverted into town once a season. It was drained and transformed Water Canyon into one of the fastest eroding areas of the park. Get a little closer to the water down here. It just sounds amazing the way the water runs, and a little bit of wind through the pines. clear and cold, I'm sure. Oh yeah. A little path here that we can walk right by the creek. Big old smooth boulders in there the water's running over, as well as, you know, creek bottom rock like this that falls down from up here when it rains and things. Go right through there. This is the first time for us on this trail, so I always find it fascinating to explore these little areas. Find out where you can go and where you can't go and what you're going to see. But I imagine probably a month ago there's probably a lot more water running through here. They had a lot of snow and a lot of runoff. Still getting some, but there was a lot more for sure. Looks like our trail's going to take us right up to the top there, the highest point. There's a trail that goes up the side of the mountain. Again, never been here before, so I don't know where this mossy cave lies. But we are exploring for sure. There's a little waterfall way off in the distance. I think it makes more noise than it does a visual. You hear it falling from a long ways away. And that just contributes right here to the little creek. And the bridge we're running over, or walking over. And then there's another little area where the water runs in here. Right down to the creek. It got pretty steep pretty quick there. See what we've got here on the sign. Bringing water to the desert. And it shows them digging out a path to get that water to town. The Tropic Ditch. A beautiful backdrop over there. It's amazing how that erodes and puts that hole, or kind of an arch, I guess. And there's some more water coming from up the hill. A little footbridge here. It's right down the trail where we were from. And right down here, and then it creates a little waterfall right there. Kind of fascinated by that little, it's like an entranceway, but it's an arch through that rock. Waterfall right down there. We're gonna see if that trail's open. Look at that. Beautiful. The trail across the way up to that beautiful, we'll just call it a beauty mark on the beauty mark of the earth. We'll head right down here to this and see if we can get on the top of this fall and look down. Well, this is the water. It's running over these hard rocks. Through here, I heard somebody slide and almost fall behind me. It's not every day you get to see something like this. Very relaxing as well. Here's the trail to get up there, but it's closed. I'm going to respect that because that is beautiful. But it looks like probably dangerous for people to climb. A lot of roots exposed right there. And maybe people try it and get hurt or something, but I could definitely get up there, but you got to respect it. Okay, so the last trail we were on was the hike the hoodoos, and there's hoodoos at the end of that trail. We went there to see the beautiful crystal clear water that was running there in a little waterfall. But this is a hike up to the Mossy Cave, and it's a little bit steeper. Nice trail, a little steep. All right, here it is, the Mossy Cave. Looks like that's where water would run out when there's too much of it in the runoff. Look at this.
And that's it when it's frozen. Oh, there's still some ice in there. Look at that. And I guess the moss stays year-round. It's actually water. Hopefully you can see it dripping through the roof. Then it freezes and makes those pieces of ice. Alright, so I'm going to read this while we're looking at this beautiful cave. At Mossy Cave, slightly acidic groundwater seeps through the harder limestone layer, dissolving and eroding the softer layer underneath. This cool, moist, shaded environment is perfect a habitat for mosses that thrive. As temperatures drop, the dripping water freezes, creating impressive icicles that sometimes last into summer. That's them. And that's something. So right there, that one you're looking at would be right there. And then over here, you can see this rock. Use that as a reference point. Straight right there. So that's how much ice can be in this cave. And we're just lucky enough to have ice still in it. I'm going to come here definitely in the wintertime and see that ice in that cave. This is the old Spanish Trail, and this is a location that we've seen down towards St. George and on through to Nevada and Mesquite area. And that's what they use right there, those little donkeys and a couple of gentlemen with sombreros on to show the Spanish Trail that travels along here. It's 36 miles up that road and over that mountain. But with the old Spanish Trail behind me, this concludes our adventure. And until the next one, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, Old Spanish Trail.